Hi, fifth graders. We are back to do another read aloud of Save Me a Seat. Now we are nearing the end of the story, and we only have two read alouds left. So when we left off, Ravi was just about to give his presentation to the class, or his explanation of why he chose to bring leeches as his personal reflection. Let's go ahead and get started. Chapter 43, Ravi. I rub my nose and push up my glasses. My hands are shaking a little, so I fold them together the way we were taught to do in elocution class at Vijay Mandir. For many generations, the Suryanaranyan family has worked with tea, I began. When my grandfather was a young man, he worked in the tea plantations. His job was to protect the tea pluckers from wild animals that might be lurking nearby. I look around the room. Everyone is listening. Some are even leaning forward in their seats. I decide to bring a bit more drama into the story by adding a few details Paripa had not included in his version. Have you ever been attacked by a porcupine or a wild boar? I asked, pawing the ground with my foot. Have you ever seen a panther crouching in the grass, ready to pounce? Or been stuck in the middle of a war between two angry elephants? I pause and look around the room for dramatic effect. All those years of elocution class are really paying off. Imagine it is monsoon season, I say. Imagine the ground is still damp from the heavy rain, a perfect hiding place for the most dangerous creature of all. More dangerous than the porcupine or even the panther, this animal can latch on to you and bite through even the toughest flesh with its 300 razor-sharp teeth. What the heck? Says Jax. Quiet, Caleb Burrell tells him. I want to hear about the teeth. This is no time to lose momentum, so I take a deep breath and dive back into the story. Well, my grandfather battled these tiny Draculas in disguise every single day. Imagine yourself plucking tea under a hot sun when suddenly you realize you are surrounded by vicious black worms waiting to fix themselves to your body and drain your lifeblood out. Look, there's one between your toes. Be careful, there's one behind your ear. Believe me when I tell you, these dreaded blood-sucking leeches can even crawl up your nose. Just as my tale is building to its climax, I am interrupted by a loud, choking sound. A moment later, the air is filled with a horrible smell. Check it out, shouts Dylan Samarine. Emily Mooney just blew chunks. Chapter 44, Joe. Apparently, all that stuff about giant blood-sucking leeches climbing up your nose got to Emily, and she barfed up her breakfast. Kids are running around screaming, Dylan is laughing, Emily is bawling, and Mrs. Beam is calling the office to tell them to send the custodian down to room 506 quick with a mop. I feel bad for Ravi. He was having such a good time up there telling his story, and now all anybody can think about is Emily's barf. Miss Frost was right. It must be really hard coming all the way from India to New Jersey, especially when you have to deal with somebody calling you names and stealing your mechanical pencils. Not to mention hitting you on purpose with a softball. I look at that beautiful blue double peanut M&M sitting in the bowl in front of me, and whoop, zoop, sloop. All of a sudden, I get a great idea. So the guy or the person Joe's talking about is Dylan, which is how he's been treating Ravi lately. Chapter 45, Ravi. The smell of the vomit is overpowering. Girls are screaming, Emily Mooney is crying, and Dylan Samarine is laughing his head off. Mrs. Beam tells me to return to my seat. Then she asks us to take out our copies of Bud Not Buddy. We'll go to the library and read until the custodian has had a chance to clean up. When we return, we can continue our game. Poor Curryhead, says Dylan as I take my seat. His speech was so bad the audience puked. I ignore him and pull out my copy of Bud Not Buddy. That's when I notice a folded up scrap of paper lying on the desk beside the jar of leeches. I unfold it and read, "Beware! Do not touch the jar. Trust me, Joe." It has been a day full of surprises, and it seems there will be one more. And that's where we're going to end for today. So, Joe's brilliant idea has something to do with Ravi's jar of leeches, and he told Ravi not to touch them. So I wonder what he's done. Stay tuned for our last read aloud of Save Me a Seat.